let's start with prayer, and hopefully Laura will be popping in here in a minute.
Literally.
Literally. Okay. We're going to talk about the effects of stress on the body tonight. When we were Neanderthal people, we were designed with mechanisms that would help us escape from saber-toothed tigers. Okay? So if I saw this saber-toothed tiger over here in the bush and he was salivating because he's going, yummy lunch, and my heart skips a beat because I don't want to be lunch, my body goes into action and I begin to produce adrenaline and cortisol and glucagon. Adrenaline will make my heart beat faster, my blood pressure go up, and my respiration is very quick and rapid. Cortisol will help my muscles get tense and strengthened, and glucagon causes the liver to release extra sugar stores. Now, why does my body do that? So I can what? Run like crazy, okay? And I am running, and as I am running, what is my body doing with all that extra sugar? Burning it up, okay? As fast as my liver can pump it out, my muscles are burning it up. I get back to the cave and I go, whew, that was way too close for comfort. Okay? Cortisol levels are back to normal, adrenaline levels are back to normal, and the glucagon levels are back to normal, which means that my blood pressure is normal, my pulse rate is normal, my respirations are normal, my muscles are relaxed, and my liver's not making extra sugar. Do you see how that works? For us, the problem is that we all have saber-toothed tigers in our lives. They don't salivate. Maybe it's a boss that's giving us a fit. Maybe it's children that's driving us crazy, or grandchildren. Maybe it's a mortgage that we don't know how we're going to pay for. Maybe it's a commute that is driving us nuts. But you see, that list goes on and on and on. So a couple of problems here. I don't see very many people running, and I don't see very many people back in the cave. So what does that say? When we have those saber-toothed tigers, our body reacts just like it did when we had a real saber-toothed tiger after us. But if we're never getting back to the cave, we're never getting those levels, or rarely getting those levels back to normal, and if we're not running, what's happening to all that extra sugar? Especially if we have blood sugar issues. Do you see the point? Okay, so we need to plan moments in the cave. They don't just happen by accident. They need to be moments in the cave. And we should be in our cave for 5 to 15 minutes every single day of our lives. How many people do you think do that? Or most of us just like that hamster on the wheel? And then we get into bed at night and we lie there and we think about all the things that we should have done and wish we'd done, and could we have done better, and
You told her. He told her.
all that stuff. So your little packet tonight,
But I'm in the cave.
the top look at this middle section here. Does any of these look familiar? Oh. Oh. It's almost like there's nothing that escapes, correct? There's nothing that escapes. And so how do you think that cortisol and adrenaline and glucagon get around in your body? What transports that? Blood. Now, if there's a part of your body that doesn't have any blood, what's going to happen to that part of your body? It's going to die. Absolutely. It will turn necrotic and die. So, can we escape? Can any part of our body escape the effects of stress? No, absolutely not. And the same is true of elevated blood sugar. What transports all that fuel, all that sugar in our blood, in our body? Blood. Same thing is true. If something doesn't get blood, it's going to turn necrotic and die. So we're in big trouble then. So we have to think about all the stuff that we're shipping through our body all the time. Okay? So that's number one, okay? The next one is just a little self-assessment, and you can take a few minutes to do that. The top page will give you some information about where stress affects you the most, and the next 2 pages will help you interpret what it was. And I have pencils or pens. Anybody need them?
Yes,
I
please.
like the pen.
22 is the autonomic nervous system. And those are the systems in your body that work whether you think about them or not. You breathe, your food digests, your heart beats, all of those systems just work for you. But if stress is affecting those, it can cause some pretty serious symptoms. I worked with a pediatrician once that was going to the hospital frequently for chest pain and thought he was having a heart attack. And he was a young man. It turned out that he was having anxiety. It was anxiety. And he just needed to learn to cope with and live with that kind of where he put his stress. Numbers 23 to 35 indicates emotional tension. And sometimes these are the people who are very hard to work with. So if somebody comes up to me and they're asking me to help them with something, and I'm a bit stressed, they might get, okay? But if I am managing my stress on purpose, I'm much more likely to say, you know, Ann, I'd really like to help you with that, but I have X, Y, and Z to do first. If I still have time at the end of Z, I'll be happy to help you, which is a much more pleasant response than a bark, okay? Numbers 36 to 48 is mental tension. And this can cause memory lapses. It can cause inability to focus. You can be doing something that you've done 1,000 times and have to stop and think, now, wait a minute, where do I start here? And then 49 to 58 is spiritual tension. And I'm going to read this because I think it's important. Spiritual tension is the most subtle, yet ultimately the most damaging kind of tension. It dwells at the core of our being, it weakens our ability to cope, and it diminishes our vitality and creativity. Spiritual relaxation comes through direct spiritual experiences that are based on and encourage faith and belief. These experiences give us communication and interaction with a power or spirit that is both beyond and within ourselves. Worship, prayer, contemplation, and meditation are good practices for releasing and managing spiritual tension. And what I've come to, Jeff?
I have a
remember,
question.
I don't want to remember. So, I don't know. I don't know why that's here. But this is taken from a book by John Harvey called Total Relaxation, Healing Practices of the Body, Mind, and Spirit. And this comes with a CD that has some relaxation activities on it. And you can listen to those on the CD and follow the instructions that he gives. And it is a very good way of relaxing physically. It's a lot of deep breathing, a lot of muscle relaxation. And there's some good reasons why deep breathing is helpful, because when you're deep breathing, you're increasing what level? Oxygen. And when you're stressed and you have all that cortisol and adrenaline going, you're breathing with the top half of your lungs. So when you're doing deep breathing, you're filling up your diaphragm with all that good air, and that gets circulated, then all of the cells in your body get a boost of oxygen. Okay? Now numbers 59 to 76 indicate general symptoms of tension. And remember, any kind of stressor on the body, even though it may not be a salivating tiger, still has the same effect on the body as though it were. Now you have a couple of handouts there about sleep. Does anybody have problems with sleep, going to sleep, getting a good night's sleep? These are very good little handouts. Has sleep and stress become a vicious cycle in your life? If we are stressed, it's difficult to relax. If we can't quiet our mind, we will not go to sleep. We may lay there until we just pass out from fatigue. But that's not a restful sleep. How to Sleep When Stressed is another little handout that has pictures with it. Some of those are, I think, really good recommendations, and some may not be so good for you. But organizing on paper what you're going to do, reviewing what you have done, sometimes is a way to get your thoughts in order so that you're not stressing over what you did or didn't do during the day, and you're not stressing over what you have to do. You have an organized way to approach your waking hours. But sleep is vital. Sleep is absolutely vital. When we're asleep is when our body heals itself. That's when all the healing work goes on. If we don't get good sleep, what happens to that? Not a whole lot of healing going on. Years ago, in the early 1900s, people in the United States of America were sleeping an average of 9 hours a day, a night, 24 hours.
In the early what?
1900s. 20th century. And when this study was done, I think that was 20 something or other, it was, we were averaging about 7. And one of the things, and this one has Sleep and Stress Become a Vicious Cycle. Was written by a woman for women, because women tend to be more stressed out sometimes than men. You know, we worry over all kinds of things. We worry whether we need to worry or we don't need to worry. We worry because we worry. Maybe we worry because we don't worry, but we can figure out a way to worry. And that equates to stress. So we really need to look at our lives and see what we can do to even them out.
And people who do excessive worrying actually have depression.
That can become depression.
That's one of the signs.
Absolutely, that can become depression. There is a test that people can take on their own. It's called the Beck Depression Scale, and you can go online and get that. If that's a concern for you, take that test. It gives the test questions and also gives the interpretation. And if you reach a certain point on the Beck Depression Scale, it would probably be a good idea to discuss it with your physician.
What is it called?
Beck, B-E-C-K,
Okay.
Depression Scale.
Holly laughed at that.
20 minutes late to work. Came in there this morning and he says, he's teething. The evil little guy is teething. We can't get any sleep. I forgot my wallet, I forgot this, can I borrow $10 today for lunch?
Wow.
I said, sure, Gerard. He says, you were right. When you said before he was born that life as I knew it was about to change.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That is exactly right. And I don't think that our culture prepares us for that kind of a change very well.
Not at 42 years old.
Right.
Not at any age.
Not an age.
Yeah,
Couple
I
I
of
think
days.
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I know when Kid and I had Cindy, well, first of all, I was a basket case because I was worried about everything. I was a nurse. If she breathed this way, I was worried. If she breathed that way, I was worried. If she sniffled this way, I was worried. I mean, the whole thing. I was just a mess. And my mom would say to me all the time, all right, Carol, what would you say to a patient? She'd say, okay, follow your own advice. And it's really true. Sometimes we know, but our fears, we let our fears get the best of us. And that is big time stress. Plus, after you have a baby, and I liked your story after,
What?
with Mark and the pictures and the camera and all that stuff.
Which one?
With the newborn,
There's
little, what did he say? It was little,
Angel.
no, it wasn't an angel.
Speak into the
That had
microphone.
come to ruin our lives, you know, and that's really how he felt about it, because I was fatigued and exhausted. He was fatigued and exhausted. We both thought that it was impossible for the other person to be as tired as the other one was. That baby did not sleep in a pet quarter, and she required 24-hour care. It was a big, huge shock.
And you had no nanny, right?
And we had no nanny. And my mom only stayed a week. Now, I was better off than many because I was a nurse. In fact, I was a pediatric nurse.
Oh my gosh.
So I was well versed in how to do stuff. And once my mother got me to following my own advice, it was much easier. But I'm telling you, that was an earthquake. in my life and in Kit's life, and I think it's an earthquake in most people's lives. And you just have to ride the waves until you get to a point where you can communicate again, and you have a few minutes of quiet time again, and you have a few minutes of couple time again. I mean, that takes a while.
And then you
That's
have a week and a
18 when they
half.
go to college.
Yeah, I was gonna say, then you have a week and a half until
Then you
they're
don't know what
teenagers
they're
and-
doing.
And you lie awake at night worrying. No, maybe not. But, you know, it never gets old. You just never, you're always a mom.
Yeah.
So managing stress is a planned thing. It isn't an accident. And accepting the fact that human beings live, especially in this country, and maybe all countries, in a very stressful world. We live at Mach speed. We get up and hit the floor running.
True.
So let me ask you, and you don't have to answer, but I can tell by your eyes. Are you all eating within 30 minutes of getting out of bed in the morning?
I can't.
I'm really better about that.
Good, good.
I can't. I have hypothyroidism. I can't eat until I've been awake for an hour.
Now, there are
Oh,
two
no,
ways to handle it. I
that's
heard
no
that
excuse.
before.
Wait.
There's two ways to handle that. You had dinner at what time? 6 o'clock tonight? 5
Probably.
o'clock tonight?
Yeah.
So do you have a bedtime snack, usually?
No.
Okay, so 6 o'clock, the nighttime passes. What time is morning for you?
6:45, 7.
So 6:45, 7. So that's 13 hours with no food.
Right.
Your body is out of fuel. So you get up and you move, and when you move, those muscles have to have fuel or they can't move. Now, fuel for the human body is sugar. So sugar to the human body is like gasoline to an automobile. So you get up, you're moving, you're taking care of little ones, you're helping them brush their teeth, get their blah, 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 blah. That's a lot of moving.
Yes.
How does your body
It
get
takes
fed?
a lot more than a half hour to get done before I go downstairs.
So how does your body get its fuel? We have this huge organ, it's the largest digestive organ in the body, called the liver. And when we eat a meal, the liver takes up about 1/3 of that meal and stores it in the form of glycogen. It truly is for emergencies only. But too many Americans especially use it for maintenance. So when you're up for more than half an hour, that liver starts converting glycogen into glucose to fuel your body's needs. And that's how you can function. That is not what the body was designed to do, and over time, that will cause a tremendous imbalance, and pretty soon you won't have a choice because there will be blood sugar issues. So,
What
try
happens to
get that
your
down.
liver if you do that every day?
Well, it pushes out as much glucose as it can.
Does it damage the liver?
I don't think it damages it.
Oh.
I'm hypoglycemic. Is there any connection?
Hypoglycemia is a precursor to diabetes.
Right. I mean, but I was diagnosed with it years ago,
Yep.
and I've never been diagnosed as diabetic. but-
Right, well, and we don't want you to be.
No.
So start eating it. Half an hour after you get up. It doesn't have to be a whole meal. It can be a piece of toast with peanut butter on it.
Well, that's basically what I eat for breakfast every day anyway.
Okay, so
But just drinking some juice, would that count? Just
a half a cup of juice is 1 serving of carbohydrate. If you had a half a cup of juice and 1 piece of toast with peanut butter, that would be 2 carbohydrate servings, which would carry you for a good long while.
Could she down her juice, then go upstairs and take care of the kids?
That-
and then
that's
come
my
back and
thing.
eat breakfast?
Absolutely, that will carry you for about half an hour.
okay. That's helpful. So I could do that, but like sitting down to do the whole breakfast before my kids are dressed and ready to go and have their breakfast. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm not talking
The
about.
very last thing I do in the morning for myself, for everything, is breakfast for me.
I know.
I'm normally eating in the car on the way where I'm going because I've been doing everything to get them out of the
I
house.
totally understand.
I know you do.
I had 7. The oldest was 11. So I've got a handle on how moms get kids out the door. But one thing we did in our family, and we were an Air Force family, we always had breakfast together. There were 2 meals a day we had together. We had a formal breakfast and we had a formal dinner. And that was an important thing. When Cindy went to high school, we usually ate dinner around 5, but she didn't get home from her bus until 5:30. And she told me after a while, she says, Mom, I just feel like I've been kicked out of the family. So then we started eating later. But I think it's an important thing to, food is a very important social event. And it's an important thing. And when I grew up, my dad was the breakfast cook, and we always had breakfast, a formal breakfast. And that was a big thing in our lives. And I don't know if I shared with you, did I share with you about being old as dirt? Never talked about that.
About what?
Being old as dirt. My sister's always, and I are always sharing things, and she got an email one, and there were some questions that you had to answer to find out if you were old as dirt. And the first one was, what kind of fast food do you eat? Did you eat when you were growing up?
Right.
We didn't eat fast food. There wasn't fast
We
food.
didn't have any fast food
Well, what kind of
restaurants in
food did you
our
eat?
town.
We ate slow food. Well, where did you get it? My mom cooked it. You know, and those are the questions. So life is very different now. I have some patients who eat nothing but fast food. And to trying to get them to change is almost beyond their imagination. How can you live without McDonald's Egg McMuffin in the morning? And, you know, and I had one patient who lived like that, and she said, besides feeling healthier and getting my blood sugar under better control, my checkbook looks great. It's very expensive to live on fast food. So,
Well, several of my children had friends in high school, their mother never cooked. And dad would barbecue once in a while, but they had fast food every day, because no one cooked.
yeah,
I mean, and that might mean Kentucky Fried Chicken, it could,
you really don't know what's in that food.
You don't want to
You know, you really
know. You
don't
suspect,
know.
but you don't want to know.
So, I mean,
That's
that's
why they
something to
make
think
Chinese.
about. If you're trying to get pure food, that's when you buy it uncooked, unwashed, and whatever, and you start at home from scratch, and you know, you do it from scratch. And it tastes really good that way, by the way, guys.
The other day, Carol, I've been trying to be
So I try to leave it where it's going to pop up to what I have to read next. But they're so awesome. So there's a table of contents. And Daily with God in the Scriptures, what I'm doing right now. I did the readings for Advent and the New Year.
Are you challenged?
Yes, but I'm getting better.
So it's giving you a day by day.
So this is week 2, week 3, and I'm now on week 4. And today I will go up to Wednesday. Hit the wrong button.
Just hit it back.
I have fat fingers too, that doesn't help. But today it's going to be Genesis 22, 1 through 24, and Psalms 5, 1 through 12. That's my reading for bedtime. And that, I just can't encourage you enough to have something in your hands like the Scriptures. Don't read a shoot 'em up, bang bang, or a romance novel or something like that, because it's not going to do for you what the Scriptures will do for you. That is just the most relaxing thing in the world. I also read, I like Joel Osteen, I think he's pretty awesome. And I'm reading I Declare, which is 31 Promises, but I'm reading it in Spanish. That's how I keep my Spanish up. I read as many things as I can in Spanish, but I read the Voice Bible, the recommended reading for the day, and 1 day's worth of reading with I Declare. That's my bedtime go to sleep out. That's very, very relaxing. It's much nicer to do that than reading something that gets my blood flowing. The other thing I wanted to share with you, and I've had some experiences with the Scriptures, and this is going to be hodgepodge, so I hope you'll bear with me. But we've had in 1997, I went for my regular well woman check. And because my sister had had ovarian cancer, they did a cancer marker test on me. Never gave it another thought. It came back extremely elevated. So everybody is a little nervous, and I'm a lot nervous. And I was reading the scriptures in John chapter 11, verse 4. And the scriptures, although this really wasn't written in this context, but the scriptures can jump out at you and give you a message. And it doesn't have to be necessarily in context. But this, and if I cry, just forgive me. It was a very, I have a date written down here. It was 12/9/97. I had my surgery on the 23rd of December in 97. But it says, this sickness will not end in death. That was extremely peaceful, okay? That just gave me such a confidence. And my doctors were scared for me, and lots of people were scared for me, and I just had this peace. I just had this peace. Then there's in, let me see if I can find that. Matthew chapter 9, verse 22, Jesus says, "Take heart, daughter, your faith has healed you." Okay? And those are not in the context of me personally when they were written, but that was a message from God to me. Okay? That's awesome that you can get that kind of response out of the scriptures. And then we had a child, lots of children, but one of our children, let me see if I can.
This is if you're using a flashlight for us, we drove up tonight.
Yes, it was. It was a hectic day. Maybe this wasn't the one, but. Who just had a lot of problems living life, okay? He got into a crowd he shouldn't have been into. He got into some stuff he shouldn't have been into. We were afraid we were just going to lose him, absolutely lose him. So this was one of the scriptures that gave me faith. It says, this is Romans 14. Accept him whose faith is weak without passing judgment on disputable matters. We had tons of disputable matters in that situation, okay? And it says, and he will stand, for the Lord is able to make him stand. And that gave us great hope, okay? And I want to find the other one because I thought I had it marked. But
While she's looking for that, that was 20 years of addiction.
Before he was healed. But he's awesome now, absolutely awesome. He's a dad, he has 5 kids. Oh, and this is one of his scriptures that he always gives to me. When I start worrying about being able to do this or to do that or control this or control that, he'll say, don't be arrogant. How can you be so arrogant to just think that you could do something that God's not doing? You know, you just have to put it in God's hands. And then let me just see. I'm going to look for this because this is important. If not, I'll just have to paraphrase it for you.
And Steve has been clean for 7 years. He just got back from spending 3 weeks in Africa with Electricians
He's been
Without
on
Borders.
several missions. Okay, this one is an Acts, and it's 27, and it's the end of verse 24. Do not be afraid, Paul, but I substituted Carol. God has graciously given you the lives of all who sail with you. I have faith in God that it will happen just as he told me. So sometimes we take those scriptures and we apply them to ourselves and we get the answers we need to carry us through. Okay? And I just can't tell you enough how powerful those scriptures are. And this is my thing, remember? So, SMW, Scripture Magic Works, okay? I was very, very blessed as a child to have had some awesome Sunday school teachers. I think I was in the 4th grade when I learned the principle of tithing. It's never even been an issue. It's never even been a question in my mind. My Sunday school teacher took 10 dimes and put them on the table. And she said, okay, God has given you 10 dimes. He only wants one back. Did that make sense? Absolutely that made sense. So that's not been an issue for either kid or I. What was the other thing that she, and scriptures. All of my Sunday school teachers knew their scriptures. And they could talk to us, counsel us, and you know, you take a little kid and they're growing up and you have a scriptural backup for the things that you're teaching them, and it makes sense because they apply it to where I am in my life right now. It's really easy to just grow up with that kind of thing. So, and I don't really want it to be preachy, but I wanted to share with you the power in Scripture. And that's my stress management program, okay? I'm reading Eugene Peterson. Anybody familiar with Eugene Peterson?
The Message.
Awesome. He has a whole Bible called the Remix.
Yes.
And I am reading that from front to back this year, and I just finished the part in Joshua where he died at 110 years old. It is so easy to read, and it makes such good sense. And so I spend a few minutes in the morning reading Eugene Peterson's Remix, and then I spend a few minutes before, as I'm in bed, and I know on this bed thing, sleep thing, it has a picture of a guy reading in bed and says this is not, you know, but I'm sure he's reading Stephen King or something, not the scriptures. So, and I spend a few minutes at bedtime reading the scriptures, and that's just peaceful. On the days I don't get to read my scriptures, I am not a pleasant person. And it isn't that I'm inviting evil into my life, it's just that I haven't solidified peace in my life. And it makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. So I encourage you to make scriptures, if that's something you think you could enjoy, part of your stress management program. It works. Scripture magic works. When I had little kids, and I had a ton of them for a while, I would get up early in the morning and read my scriptures. And when they started to make noises, I would say, oh dear God, please just give me 10 more minutes. And he did. So I always got my time with my scriptures. So it works, guys. It also works if you're wanting a second cupcake and you just really think maybe you shouldn't. It will help you. It will help you. It will help you.
Which commandment was that?
So, okay, this is for takeaways. What I choose today determines my tomorrows. I choose health, and love is the goal. And if we love ourselves enough. Now, let me just reiterate. When for the first class, you got a handout that said, thin is not healthy necessarily, and fat is not unfit. And it goes right along with your sermon on Sunday. I just love that, because human beings come in all shapes and sizes, and we're not all supposed to be pencil thin, no matter what the doctor says or what the chart says. We can be very healthy and bigger, or very healthy and skinnier, or very unhealthy and bigger, or very unhealthy and skinnier. Okay, that has nothing to do with health. Health has everything to do with, what are the three things? Nutrition, exercise, and managing stress. Those are the 3 things. And love is the goal. So on the back is your scripture, and actually I forgot to put the reference on there, but it's the same on the front. Deuteronomy 30:19 through 20. I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live, and that you may love the Lord your God. For the Lord is your life, and he will give you many years in the land he swore to give to your fathers. And I love some of the stories that Paul tells, but one of them is in Philippians chapter 4, and he says, I have learned to be content in all situations. I've learned to be content when I'm wealthy, when I'm hungry, when I'm fed, when I'm not fed. But he also said, and I couldn't find that as we were driving up here with a flashlight, but maybe Pastor Laurie can help us with that. But he said, if I die unto Christ. If I live unto Christ. So it's a win-win no matter which way it turns out. You know, and that's just peaceful, isn't it? It's absolutely peaceful. And when I start to worry about things I shouldn't, Steve's voice comes into my head saying, Mom, don't be so arrogant. You gotta turn it over. All right, good luck on your stress management, guys.
Okay.